Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. I want to thank all of you so much for listening. Please subscribe, click on that thumbs up button, tell a friend. We got a great episode today. Please try to stay tuned for the whole thing if you get a chance. There's a lot of cool things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Ringer. J. Kyle Mann and Tyler Park did a breakdown of their League Pass teams, their League Pass rankings, where they rank the teams that they're going to be most interested in watching. And it's not always the best teams. It's the teams that they think they would get the most enjoyment of watching. And our Pistons are right there. So they discuss that. But what they say on this is they say a lot of really cool stuff about our Pistons. So I'm going to play some of that for you. We're also going to talk about, I sold my Micheal Jordan rookie card, my 86-87 Fleer, so we're going to talk about that briefly. Cade and Duren are working out in Colorado together. We're going to talk about that briefly. We're going to talk about the teams that got the biggest increase in nationally televised games and the teams that got the biggest decrease in nationally televised games. And then we're going to talk about a Bleacher Report trade proposed by for Lauri Markkanen going to the Detroit Pistons. So we're going to discuss that. Got just so much to talk about. And we're going to talk about, I got a 10-game package to go watch the Pistons play this year at Little Caesars. We're going to talk about the 10 games I'm going to. 8 of those games are, I think, 8 of the best games that you could watch. So I want to see what you guys think about that. But anyway, let's start out with J. Kyle Mann and Tyler Park on the Ringer. And again, I don't usually do this. I don't usually play other people's podcasts. And I listen to all kinds, and we're getting all kinds of positive publicity, our Pistons are, and good vibes. But I just thought this was very entertaining, and I thought that you guys would really enjoy it.
The Pistons, I wrote in my notes, the Pistons are an old mechanic at a body shop in eastern Kentucky, just sitting on a tailgate during their break, deeply inhaling the smoke. They take those deep draws. They don't. Ron Holland is nuts, man. I mean, I wasn't a gigantic fan of his coming into the draft because I was just really skeptical of him offensively putting it together. But the defense, we talk a lot about the Terror Twins with the Rockets. Asar and Ron Holland together are entertaining because they can guard anybody up and down the food chain. They're both great bouncy athletes, spindly, sinewy, powerful, and they got some shit to them. Both of them do. Holland took Reed Shepherd as a personal affront to his existence at Summer League. He was just like, there was a really funny moment where Reed was mic'd up. I think I talked about this on the Ringer NBA on the draft show, but Reed was mic'd up and he said something like, "Can't do that, can't leave me open, can't say something." And Ron Holland proceeded to make his life hell for the next like it was incredible. But the Pistons, I think, Beasley had one of the best, like, most productive off-screen efficiency scoring seasons in a while last year. I think he was top 3. Sure. Up there with the usual suspects of the Stephs and the guys like that. But they lose him, but they gain Duncan Robinson. The question, I guess, is just going to be, are they even going to miss a beat? Because they might not, honestly.
And that's before we even get to Jaden Ivey coming back, which I think is going to be massive, just beyond him being good for them. Like, if we are just talking about it from a league pass perspective, like, that's a big ad. You know what I mean? Like, that's another big. He's
one of your sleeper guys. You were saying for could be one of the key players in the league pass landscape this year.
Oh, I think so. Just because as the roster, as the Pistons have kind of filled out the roster, I think he's just going to be able to focus on the stuff that he does well, and that's playing like a madman and getting out in transition and, like, making shit boom a little bit. And that is something that we at League Pass headquarters love. You know what I mean? So I feel very excited about that. But yeah, I mean, just the Pistons in general, I mean, just completely grimy in the best way and very about it, right? Like there's they're not going to back down from anybody. They are going to feel like they're in any game. I think Cade gives them a lot of confidence and a lot of swagger. And yeah, to watch them last year kind of carve themselves into this thing that is extremely sturdy and isn't going to really get rattled. You know what I mean? Like, as a young team, to watch how they handled themselves in that Knicks series, like it was that was not a young team that just was in over their head playing it. You know what I mean? Like, that was a blow for blow kind of series, and could have gone the other way. If a couple shots do some different things. So yeah, I'm really excited about the Pistons, and yeah, that's another team that I think it wouldn't shock me at all to see in the Eastern Conference Finals.
It's of all the years too. It's very possible. Right out of the gate, we get on October 24th. We get them at Houston, which will be that will be a feisty one. And then let's see, the first time that Orlando comes on, they play. That's all the way in April though, April 6th, and they play March. They play Orlando at Orlando, so they're going to have a lot of opportunities to get feisty with them. And November 28th at home. Yeah,
I think that them and the Knicks though, like I think that'll
be ongoing.
Series,
yeah,
that series kind of established something, and I'm excited to watch that kind of blossom.
Mm-hmm. At number 4, you were surprised by this one. I put
definitely.
So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. These guys are national reporters. They are not Piston podcasters. They are respected, intelligent people, and I think they had the Magic rated their 7th favorite team to watch on League Pass. The Nuggets were like 6. The Pistons were 5. I think the Rockets were number 1. So anyway, there's a lot of respect, but a lot of cool things they said there about the Pistons. It was hilarious about the old mechanic at a body shop in Eastern Kentucky sitting on the tailgate. And that was funny. And Holland is nuts. That was in the Tear twins with Asar and Holland. They're going to play together. I promise you. A lot of people think, they can't, but they did it a little bit last year. But how entertaining they are, and how they can guard anyone, and how bouncy they are, and it's going to be so cool to watch them play. It was fun hearing them talk about Ron Holland taking offense to Reed Shepherd and just making his life hell. They said during the summer league. And then the massive leap, they think a lot of people around the league think that Ivy might take, and that he's just going to be a sleeper. And yeah, so they just said a lot of things. I love the way they said they focus on that they say they completely grind me in the best way, and they're not going to back down from anybody. And we know that. They're not afraid of anybody. We know that. And so it's just going to be cool, and how Cade brings them this confidence, and he does. And he's their leader, and is going to be cool. But I hope you enjoyed that. Anyway, we're going to talk about real quick. I sold my Micheal Jordan rookie card. It's the 86-87 Fleer for you card collectors. It was a PSA 9 back in 2020. A couple of them sold during the pandemic. The prices just skyrocketed on all the cards. They sold for $75,000 a piece, and I sold mine for only $23,000. So. They were selling for about $30,000 last year. I just thought I might as well sell it. I'm not getting any younger, and so anyway, I sold that. I got a bunch of good stuff. I got autographed balls, autographed by the Bad Boys, and those are precious to me. I got a Wheaties box that was autographed by the Bad Boys too. Anyway, don't need to talk about that too much. Cade and Duren are working out in Colorado. So I had one of my basketball players. She's one of the top 20 players in the country, but she got to try out for this U19. She was only 18, so she was playing against college kids, but she still got a senior year of high school left. But she went out to Colorado, and the first day it just knocked her socks off practicing at that altitude. And so anyway, Cade, they showed pictures of Cade and Duren running on the track. One thing you want to know, Cade and Duren are tight. They have been working out together since Duren's rookie year, and they're such a great thing to see on the lob threat when they do the pick and roll. And they say that though the workout doesn't really help your stamina after a couple weeks. Their gain isn't there. Also, is an interesting fact that I don't know if you care about this, but if you go out there and work out and then go out there 2 years later, it's not going to affect you. But most people, when they go out in that high elevation and work out for the first time, it really, really, my girl Lily, she got nauseous and got really sick feeling for it. Anyway, let's talk about the teams that got the biggest uptick in nationally televised games. So last year, the Rockets got only 11 televised games. They ended up finishing second in the Western Conference, but they only had 11, only on national TV 11 times. This year, 28 times. So they got the biggest boost. And so that's understandable, especially with the team they had, with the SAR really starting to make headlines and the NBA. And Durant, obviously, he's a big draw. So that's a no-brainer for them. But number two, our Detroit Pistons. So they only had 4 last year, and 2 were on NBA TV. I think 1 was on ESPN. And then they added 1. So we only had 3, but then they added 1 at the end of the year because they had the flex scheduling. They can add games. But really an honor for that. The Thunder had the next third most games added over from last year. And so they got 34, which is the max you can have, are 34 games. And so the Thunder and the Lakers and the Warriors, the NBA still gets stuff, and LeBron get great ratings, even if their teams aren't the best. But a lot of people, even casual fans, want to see them play, so that really boosts their ratings. So teams that got the biggest decrease, of course, the Pacers, they made it to the finals, and they had 14 last year, and they went down to 9. I mean, what an impact that Halliburton and letting Miles Turner go. So they have way less, but not the team that has the most deficit in nationally televised games was the 76ers. They have 13 less games. The NBA obviously got tired of Embiid never playing, so they got all those games because people would want to see Joel Embiid. They thought they'd be one of the better teams, but he never plays. So the Bucks have 9 less, so they lost some players, and I still am surprised. Giannis is still one of the very best players. I'm going to talk about him a little bit later. Oh, the Pelicans got a lot less because the league probably had quite a few games scheduled last year, but since Zion never plays, then they cut way back on their games. Same with Ja Morant, who's so spectacular to watch, but they have 7 less games. But the surprise team, the Celtics, have less, but they still are on 25 times, and a lot of people think that they're going to be a play-in team. So they lost 4 of their top 7 players, and their best player, Jason Tatum, and they traded away or let players go. So anyway, it's just interesting. They just have, they're very marketable. They're a big name. They've been a big name in the NBA for my whole lifetime, and so they got fans all over. But Bleacher Report, another trade with our Detroit Pistons, and I mean, it's possible, but I mean, it's not rumored. It's just them throwing out an idea. But Lauri Markkanen, who's been rumored before to go to the Pistons, and that they're saying that we would trade Tobias Harris, Ron Holland, Marcus Sasser, unprotected pick, first-round pick, our unprotected pick in 2026 and in 2028. So we can talk about that real quickly. Obviously, Markkanen did not have a great year last year. The year before, I think he was an all-star. And he's still not real old yet. His contract's big. We don't have a 4. He can shoot it really well from outside. He's 7 foot tall. He can play the 4. And, he's kind of what we need. And the question is, are we ready? So much of what we've seen is that Trajan's wanting to see what steps these young players make in development. And he wants, even the Javonte Green. We picked up Javonte Green and signed him to a minimum. And I don't even know how much is guaranteed, but he's 6'5", and he's averaged 5 points and 3 rebounds a game. Didn't play a lot of minutes, but he's a tough defender, and he can shut down great players. I think he's going to be great for the locker room. He's 32 years old, so obviously he's not in our future plans, but it was just kind of an addition to our team that is going to bring a lot of things to our culture. And I think that he can go in there if we have a problem. If Asar's tired and can't guard Jalen Duren or Anthony Edwards, they can throw in Javonte Green. But anyway, we needed a 4, and we needed a backup point guard, a lot of people thought. I mean, obviously, they're planning on staggering Ivy and Cade. They're planning on trying to get as many minutes for all of our young core, for Cade and Duren and Asar and Ivy and Holland, and they're trying to get those guys as many minutes and reps as they can. And so they're not concerned about replacing those people. If this trade were to happen, it could possibly happen at the trade deadline when Utah's starting to tank. I don't know why they've already traded away, Sexton and John Collins and for not very much. And so obviously they're trying to open up minutes for their young players, and obviously they're going to be tanking. So it makes no sense for them to keep him. But it's just a big decision by us to go in all in right now. The 26 and 28 unprotected picks, we hope, are going to be picks that are going to be at least in the 20s, next year. So this year our pick was in like 17th. So yeah, that could go wrong if something happened and Cade got hurt or something. Those picks could end up being higher. But Tobias obviously has to be in the deal because Markkanen makes a lot of money, and Tobias has the biggest contract on our team. Holland, they would want a young player. Holland looks like he has potential to be a great player. I think they'll be able to know even more by the trade deadline. Sasser showed a lot of talent, promise, and he's showed that he could do things. He's still young. And so anyway, I think that trade is a good trade. I'm not saying that I want to do it. I'm just saying that we're not giving up Asar. We're going to have to give up a couple first-round picks. And again, I think that Ainge is not holding out trying as much as he usually is. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Well, I haven't got a 10-game package in a while. I used to get them all the time, even going back to when they were at the Silverdome. And of course, I usually do a podcast after the games. And now if I go to 10 games, I won't be able to do podcasts. I don't know if I'll go to all 10. But I want you to look at my games. Our first 7 games are really tough to start the year, but here's my games. I got the Orlando Magic, November 28th. So it's right after Thanksgiving, but it's our last game in our NBA Cup bracket. And so that could be the winner of that game could decide who advances out of our 4-team pool. And so obviously there's a lot of bad blood between us and the Magic. So it's got real chippy this year with the Magic. They play dirty and we don't. But we don't back down from them. And so it's going to be a great game. And obviously they got Desmond Bane, Banchero's tough, Franz is tough, Suggs is. So they had a lot of injuries last year, but that game should be a battle. Most experts have the Pistons, Hawks, and the Magic at 3, 4, and 5 in their Eastern Conference preseason picks. So we'll see what happens, but I think that's going to be an awesome battle. And then I got the Atlanta Hawks, who a lot of people think are the most improved team. They got Porzingis, they added Jalen Johnson, who's one of the best up-and-coming forwards in the whole league, and he was injured almost all of last year. Jack Richichet should take a big step. He was the first player picked in the draft, and he showed, especially the last part of the season, he was really good. He's like a 6'9" wing, and they got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who I wanted so bad for our Pistons to get. That's a tough defender and three-point shooter, and so they're loaded along with Trae Young, who we're enemies with. So we'll see what happens in that game. So it should be fun. I wasn't necessarily looking to get the Bucks. I got on December 6th. I'm going to go watch the Milwaukee Bucks play, and they added some players, but they lost some players. And so anyway, they have one of the greatest players of my lifetime, Giannis, and he's still, he put up unreal numbers last year, unreal. And for the last 5 years, he has put up unreal numbers. So he's going to go down in history as one of the greatest players ever. He's still in his prime. So that should be a good game. But then I got January 5th, the New York Knickerbockers. And everybody's excited to watch the Pistons play the Knickerbockers after last year's playoff game series. And it got chippy again, and so there's going to be a lot. I mean, the juices are going to be flowing, and our Pistons are going to be going right after them. I can guarantee that. So they really kind of stayed pat. They had just a couple marginal players for depth, but they have a good team. A lot of people pick them as one of the top two teams in the East, rightfully so. But that should be a great game. So after that, I got Oklahoma City on January 25th, and Oklahoma City is so crazy. They have these games. Well, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. So that we play on the 23rd, January 23rd. We play the Rockets. So our rivalry week game is going to be against the Rockets. So part of my rivalry is gone. The players I hated most on their team were Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green, and they got traded. And so that was where a lot of the chippiness was between the Pistons and the Rockets. But I love watching Asar play. And so I shared this with you before. I would watch Rocket games last year just to watch the men play because I liked watching Asar play so much, and they play very similar. And so they obviously added Kevin Durant, one of the greatest players of all time. And so there's a good chance they could be win the NBA championship. And they got a tough, good coach, and they got a loaded roster with a lot of good young players. And so I'm excited to watch the Rockets play. But then 2 days later, I got Oklahoma City. The best value of any game was Oklahoma City. So the Pistons, like all the teams do, they have price brackets. So they'll have teams they'll have like the platinum, the diamond, the gold, the silver, and like that. And so, but the two most expensive games are the Lakers and the Warriors, because Steph and LeBron are still two of the players that are most watched by especially casual fans. They've been two of the greatest players in history. So I didn't get those games. But anyway, Oklahoma City was way down there. There's some average teams that cost more to go see than Oklahoma City. So I don't know who in the Pistons organization made the decision to make those tickets cheaper, but they got, obviously, they could win. They could be a dynasty real easy. They got so many picks. They got such a young, good roster, such a deep young roster. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, league MVP, finals MVP, league's leading scorer. And then they got, Chet, 7-footer that can do everything. And J-Dub that was all NBA. One of the greatest defensive teams in NBA history they were last year. So our Pistons are going to want to show what they can do against them. They're going to want to prove it, because if we want to win a championship, it's a good chance it could end up being through them in the next 5 years. So we'll see what happens. It should be a fun game. I got the Memphis Grizzlies game, like I talked earlier. I kind of rolled the dice with the Grizzlies and the Pelicans. I'll talk about it in a minute. But Ja, I'm not a fan of what he does off the court and how he handles himself, but on the court, there's nobody that's more spectacular. We don't really get to see him. They aren't always on TV. They're in a different time zone. They're in the Western Conference, so they only play the Pistons twice, so we don't get a chance. And then he's missed a lot of games. So hopefully he plays that game. I want to see him play. On March 26th, I got the Pelicans. So this is a game I got partway because it was cheap. A lot of my games were more expensive games, so the Pelicans were dirt cheap, and so I got. The tickets are like half the price of other tickets. But Zion might play. If Zion plays, I love Trey Murphy III. He's one of my favorite players in the league that's not a Piston. And they got a lot of other young players that are really good. So I got the Pelicans. Like I said, it was an inexpensive game. Then I got on April 2nd, the Timberwolves. So we got it into some heated battles with them last year, even though we only played them twice. But there was some players ejected, coach ejected, and suspended. And so we're going to play them. And obviously Anthony Edwards is one of the best players, most fun players, most talented players in the league to watch. So I'm excited about the games I got. I've skipped. I got the Spurs, and that's February 23rd. So last year I got the Spurs game, and I went down there and watched it, but Wemby didn't play, so that's the risk you run. But they have a loaded roster. Besides that, they have Stephon Castle was Rookie of the Year, Wemby was Rookie of the Year, and they got Dylan Harper, Ron Harper's son, that's the number 2 player picked in the draft, and could be fun to watch. They got DeAndre Fox, They just got a really exciting team. But Wemby's the main reason everybody wants to go see them play. I'm excited to hopefully he plays that game. So yeah, I think it's going to be such an exciting season. And just let me know what you think about the games I chose. And I think I'm excited to see those games. And I haven't been on in a while, and there's not a lot of news going on, but I packed in a lot today. I hope you stayed on and watched it. And I'm real thankful for all of you. I'm thankful that you, especially with a lot of you that have been with me for the last 3 years, like 300 episodes. I don't know how many, is close to 300 probably, but be the reason that somebody feels cared for and loved, and go Pistons.